meetings with a public comment period. So anyone from the public who would like to address the board can do so. We ask that you limit it to 3 minutes, and if you will state your name and your address for the record, that would be great.
My name is Emily Zucker. I've been to these meetings before. I live in Greenbrier. Prior to living in Greenbrier, I lived in Emerald Isle. That's why I wore this shirt. This is not even mine, it's my husband's shirt. But we had these shirts made up when we were trying to do the same thing, get a bike and walking path on the 2 main roads through town. Now I realize Emerald Isle is way smaller than New Bern, but it worked. We worked with the city and then of course the state, NCDOT. And so these were sold as a fundraiser and a promotion. And they had all the information on the back.
Ooh, love
so
it.
you could see that and get ideas. And that may be something you'll want to do to encourage people to get involved and even have a fundraiser by selling them. So, anybody have any questions about that?
Thank you
Just
so
gonna
much.
love it.
I was gonna say, just a comment, you know, that a 501c3 is absolutely on our wish list. It's the challenge is finding someone to head it and run it. So, absolutely great idea.
Yeah.
Anyone else from the public? Sure, come on up.
I'm a former school teacher, you can hear me from here. What I want to say is thank you for the bike rack.
Sorry it took so long.
That worked out.
There's 2, there's one on both sides of the building.
No, I didn't see that one on the other side. Okay. Well, thank you for 2 of them.
Thank Carrie and her team.
Yeah.
All right. And I used to live on Emerald Isle. And one of the things we did there was we had just get-togethers with bicycling around the island. And it was actually the bicycle committee, I believe, is the one who organized it. And it was just very impromptu. I mean, they did it every so often. But that was, I was wondering, perhaps the town could do something like that. Anyway, thanks for the racks.
Can I ask you, what was the purpose of that?
Of the,
Of getting together and biking? Awareness?
yeah.
Or just to see where there are problems, or?
No, it was just to get together and have fun.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, there was nothing, there was no agenda.
Yeah.
I think it was a fundraiser as well.
Okay, I wasn't there during the
The school like
fundraiser.
the banks, and they did one just this past weekend where people paid to enter it. And
Yeah, that was by
they had
banks.
the organization who promoted the bike and the bike path initially, who were still involved in it, organized it. And you actually biked from Emerald Isle all the way up to Atlantic Beach, and then turned around and came back on the path.
In that area, they have both promenade-type paths for pedestrians as well as a bike path in the main roadway. They have both down there. And the pedestrian path is double wide. It's about 2 meters wide. And the bike path is about the size of the ones that we're using here in New Bern.
And what's your name, sir?
I'm Wesley Freeberg. I'm a new transplant here in the end of 21. I've signed in over there.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And I am an active cyclist, and I'm happy to participate.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, wonderful.
Would it be worth asking Emerald Isle representative to talk to us about their successes?
So we did have talked to staff about Emerald Isle and how they got their trail started, and that was something that we discussed at a previous meeting. But yeah, great information on how we could potentially get started with ours. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. The minutes from the March 4th, 2024 meeting have been distributed to all committee members, and we were seeking a motion for the approval.
I'm on motion too.
Second.
All right. All in favor? All right, perfect. All right, so we're going to start this evening with an update from George on some projects that his team has been working on.
So this is Sutton Street connection to the backside of Henderson Park that is currently under construction. So it's an elevated pedestrian path because it goes through a rather wet area. We have currently got the piling set and have started the framing for the decking and handrails, so that'll keep moving along in the next couple of weeks.
George, is that, what number is that on our page 50?
It's not.
It's not?
That is not.
Okay.
Yeah, this was an effort to tie a neighborhood to the backside of Henderson Park. There's a very congested, tight roadway structure right there with two 90-degree turns, and it made it a safety issue with the pedestrians. So we're trying to get them working towards improving that and getting them to the park without facilitating them walking any further down the road.
So you can get to the park now from that back neighborhood?
Well, this section is our first piece. So you see the 90-degree turn
Yeah.
where it changes from Sutton to Main. It's a real tight roadway.
Okay.
And it makes the walking along that shoulder a little tight. And you've got several houses on Main Street that are right up to the right-of-way, comes right to the edge of pavement. So there's very little room to add a sidewalk there. So to achieve an access to the park, it was easier to go kind of through the woods to the backside of Henderson Park to achieve that. Trent Boulevard, we're still working on. We've got some engineers looking at, this is one where we're having to actually cross a section of a major outfall. So there's a large box culvert right there that we've got to get the pedestrian crossing around. And the current cost on the design head walls were rather expensive, and we're looking at small estimates to do that.
Now, the image has road on it and the sign says boulevard. Which part of the roadway is this?
It actually transitions.
This is Trent Road.
Yeah, but it's Trent
It's
Road.
Trent
It's
Road, okay.
Yes, it's the same road. It turns into Trent Boulevard.
At approximately the Walmart back entrance?
No,
No,
farther down.
Farther down.
It passed Simmons Street. Just past Simmons.
okay.
But this is in front of Planet Fitness behind Harris Teeter, that area, behind Moore's Barbecue.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
behind Moore's Barbecue along that section, around the shopping center.
Because there's existing sidewalk coming down MLK and existing sidewalk behind the shopping center there, but they're not connected.
Okay, thank you.
But this project is currently funded. We're just trying to work our construction into the funding available. So Racetrack Road, we have finished the major roadway improvements on that section. So this is where we took an existing road base that was 22 feet wide, made it 28, and then shrank the actual travel lanes down to 10 feet with the hopes of slowing the traffic down this rather straight road. And we knew with the new surface it might increase in speeds on there. So the major road work is done. We still have some outstanding improvements on that road. It's not related to widening, but the improvement of the intersection with Elizabeth Avenue. If you've ever ridden through there, it transitions from a super elevated curve that had existed on Racetrack, and it makes it for a rather awkward transition due to elevation. So we've got that still to do in that area.
So is that associated with 16 at all?
Yes. And that's, we're going to talk about that when we get to 16.
Yeah. So now you've got a much wider paved shoulder now.
I've used it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked much better, didn't it?
Yeah, much
Yes,
better.
it did. It does. It's nice looking. Right. So we're going to rework that intersection once school ends at the middle school. That's kind of a congested intersection to try to shut the whole intersection down for an improvement. So we're going to wait until school ends and the bus traffic. So Country Club Drive, that is in this year's budgeting to complete that last 600-foot section to Town Woods Drive. And that will kind of complete the Pembroke run until we get to the more difficult, more costly section where you've got a very deep roadside ditch that will have to be dealt with. So we're going to go ahead and finish that 600 feet from Newsom to Townwoods Drive.
I have a question. I was on Country Club Road this past weekend, and it was all sidewalk. I mean, they really did a good job putting that sidewalk in. But is the expectation that bikers could ride on the sidewalk?
That's actually illegal under the local ordinances here. However, it's not enforced, but it's a very good question because there are not that many pedestrians. I actually, when I first got to town here in '21, I checked in with the police and I said, am I allowed to ride on the sidewalks where there is no space to ride on the roadway safely? And it was basically a wink of the eye saying, you know, use your own judgment to protect your own safety. But technically, you're not allowed to ride bicycles on the sidewalk, to be very specific.
I asked for our prioritization because, I mean, if the expectation is you can ride, it might change the priorities a little bit.
I've also talked to Officer Brown about that, and he said, yes, we're not enforcing it because there's dangerous, there's.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a
And
good
driving
tailwind,
some-
you could be going 25 miles an hour on a road bike,
Yeah.
and you hit a corner and there's
Right,
a family walking down the sidewalk.
yeah, so he did tell me that they do not enforce it because this town is still dangerous to ride a bike on.
And to kind of follow up on that section of Country Club, we've got, this is a road that we adopted from NCDOT, and it's got some structural issues, mainly from the fog line going into the lane. If you've ever ridden a bike on, you probably noticed it, the asphalt's lifting. So we have that in a contract to redo those sections of road. As far as our money in this budget will allow us, we're going to try to go as far as we can, but that'll make it better road surface, not as much road width for accommodating bicycles. The current sidewalk that we're installing now is 5 feet wide, so it's not the 10-foot multimodal type lane that would accommodate a pedestrian and a bicycle.
Yeah. And as with all bicyclists, me included, I always give precedence to the pedestrian coming towards me.
If you sit.
Yes, yes. And I'm hoping that.
And I would also add, you know, we've been talking about New Bern Police, but, you know, along Country Club Road, and I think it's right where you see the yellow line there, down there at the bottom, it switches to the town of Trent Woods, which is not the city of New Bern.
But the same rules apply there.
I understand,
Yes.
but that's not our purview, so.
And I think the lowest one I have in a different area, but,
Oh, you do?
yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to, they are working on the Lowe's Boulevard sidewalk, and that's shown in one of the projects that we're going to talk about.
The white sidewalk, I'm sorry.
The Lowe's Boulevard. Yeah. So we just wanted to give a brief update to highlight what George's team is currently working on to help us as frame our discussion, which is the large part of what tonight's meeting is about. And so we sent out an email to all of our members. The Bike and Ped plan has identified basically 5 different maps. And each map has a different focus. And so we thought that to try to hone in on some priorities of what the committee is looking for, we're going to spend the next couple of meetings discussing map by map to help identify 3 projects of priority per map. And then at the very end of all of these meetings, then maybe we can start honing in on our focus. So tonight, we're going to spend time focusing on the strategic bicycle and pedestrian network. So this, and everyone should have a copy, it's the map that was disseminated to everybody. So we're going to spend the first part of the evening kind of reminding everybody what the difference is between the sidewalk, the side path, and the greenway. We're going to go through very quickly reviewing what the 16 projects are, and then we're going to leave it up to the committee to identify anonymously what are your top 3, and then from that we'll have some discussion. So just want to start off reminding everybody the difference between what is a neighborhood greenway. The neighborhood greenway is basically you've got some pavement markings, the Shero, which is the bicycle and the chevrons. It might be some wayfinding, but it's not a dedicated space for you to occupy. This tends to be neighborhoods where you've got lower speeds. And so this is just an easy neighborhood greenway, pavement markings, and signage. Then you've got the sidewalk, which we all know what a sidewalk is, but a sidewalk is separated from the lane of travel. It's specific for a pedestrian. Typically, it's 5 feet in width. And then you have a side path. So a side path is similar to a greenway. The only difference is a side path is separated from the roadway. It's typically 10 feet in width, and it's got, normally it's got curb and gutter, but it's running kind of parallel to the roadway. The greenway looks just like that, it's just not by a road, but it's the same, it's 10 feet in width. So with those in mind, we wanted to go through the 16 projects. Now these 16 projects were vetted from the stakeholder group that reviewed the plan. So the consultant was hired, they reviewed lots of past plans, they sought community input, and they have all the stakeholder engagement. And from that, they developed these top 16 projects. So we're just gonna go kind of real fast through the projects. So we're gonna take this map and we're just gonna dive into each of the locations a little bit better. I know sometimes when you look at these maps, it's kind of hard to see exactly what location we are. So I'm hoping that by use of Google Maps, you can see a little bit better. So we're going to start off with number one. Number one is Oaks Road. And I would encourage you that as we go through this, if one project kind of raises to the level of importance, just make a note of it. And then that will help you when you go to take the survey. So Oaks Road, this is, I think we all know where this is. It's on from Beach Street to Court Street. This area here is also one where we've got environmental concerns, and it's also one that we have discussed on the possibility of elevating the road. But in this one, the recommendation is either to put in a sidewalk, which is probably more feasible than a side path, but this is the location for number one. And on the back page of your map, if you want to keep track, there's also evaluated criteria that were used to help kind of identify the 16 priorities. They looked at the connection to a park or a school, if it connects the neighborhood, does it connect the business, does it use mostly the public right-of-way, is there a history of biped crashes, and then also the length. So you can see from some of these projects, they're very long and others are quite short.
Deanna, so I visited each of these 16. I have a question probably on every one. Can I just address that
Yes.
quickly? On this, have we given thought to maybe do pillars over the water?
I'm going to defer that to George.
That we have had discussion about that, and then there's also been discussion that we are looking into the future about needing to replace the bridge where we could possibly incorporate a water path. So obviously, structurally it'd be better to swap the bridge out and do that. We just don't have funding and allocation and time-wise on that. But yes, it is something that we could do. We're still in an environmentally sensitive area, crossing a creek that is basically the outfall directly to the Neuse River, but it's not something that could not be done.
The second one is actually 3 segments, and these 3 segments are as seen. You've got the Main Street, Queen Street, and Dunn Street. And they have, it doesn't look like, but it's about 1,100 feet of connecting sidewalk. And if anyone has questions, just please ask as we go through.
I think I asked this last time, but when they did this analysis, I think they did a great job identifying dangerous areas. But did they do any frequency or use analysis? You know, this one has a pedestrian every 5 minutes. This one has a pedestrian every 5 hours.
I don't think so. I didn't see that any of that data in the plan, no.
Because, I mean, it just occurred to me that bang for the buck should be kind of part of the analysis.
Yeah.
All right, then we have the K Street side path, and this is connecting Henderson Park to a future greenway. This is Queen Anne Lane and Henderson Park Greenway, so it's just connecting, yes, just lost it. Greenway, to the park through Queen Anne, so this would give another access point from the neighborhood connecting directly to a park, and I think on this, the city owns some of this land that could be utilized. This is Clark Avenue connecting to Hospital Drive sidewalk. Hospital Drive sidewalk. And again, this is just opportunity to connect the neighborhood directly to the hospital and then allows you direct access to news. Oaks Road Elementary. This is taking a greenway, just allowing you to get better access for people walking to the school itself.
I have a question on this one. There is a crosswalk, I think it's on Laurel Street. There's a crosswalk somewhere there, but it's right after that sharp corner. Extremely dangerous. So if we could move the crosswalk also, if this comes up, because I think the crosswalk is after Laurel Street or right around there, where it's like, there's no way a car can see a person before it comes up on that crosswalk.
And it may be an issue of additional signage, the design criteria for installing the actual crosswalk, and then the bars for where the entrance to the school is. Are you talking about the crosswalk indicator painted on the road, or the actual crosswalk itself?
No, there's the white paint on the on the road.
Mm-hmm. For the crosswalk.
Yes.
Okay. And certainly we can reach out to the school resource officer that's usually out there when school takes in and lets out. We'll get some.
The solution that's used in front of the senior center on George Street may be a consideration also, which is when a pedestrian's present, lights go off. It's just that simple and it works very well.
Yeah. So yes, but either the crosswalk be moved to be safer or lights.
So this is Trent Boulevard sidewalk and bike lane widening. So the recommendation is to add a sidewalk, but that would also include widening the existing bike lanes. That's number 7. Number 8 is the Meadows Street Grover Fields Middle School Greenway. Again, it's connecting the neighborhood directly to the middle school. Trent Road side path. The Trent Road Chestnut Avenue Greenway. So this would be a new greenway connecting the Chestnut Avenue to Trent Road.
Can you tell me there is a sign that says something about Craven. When I drove down this, I was trying to think of where the greenway would be, and so I think that's probably it. But there's a sign, a little tiny sign that says something about Craven. And I'm thinking that maybe Craven County owned that or something.
I don't know.
But I was just trying to figure out.
On Carolina Avenue?
On,
Carolina Avenue? On the end of Chestnut?
no, on Trent Road.
It's on Trent Road?
Yeah, it's on Trent Road. And so approximately where is that in coordination with all the other businesses that are there?
Well, it's the intersection of 17, is it not?
It comes in at Camden Square,
Oh,
which
okay.
is the apartment.
Oh, I
yeah, the
see,
apartment
right across from
complex. It's not
Camden
Carolina
Square.
Avenue.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good, thank you very much. Okay. I see, you don't see it on the map.
Right, that's why we were.
Yeah, thank you. I
It
didn't-
was very hard to decipher from the description and the map, so that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to, sometimes showing the actual pictures a little bit easier to see.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, so that was depicting 10, not 9, right?
This is 10,
Yes.
this one's
Yeah.
10,
Okay.
yeah. And then number 11 is the Lowe's Boulevard Greenway. And so the plan identifies a greenway, but George's team is recently putting in a brand new sidewalk. And so that's one of the conversations that the committee needs to discuss is the sidewalk an improvement from what we had, and we move on to a different location, or do we keep the greenway as a priority in the plan to eventually get the greenway? That's something the committee,
Is that an either or? Is it sidewalk or greenway or?
so the recommendation is the greenway in the plan, but we have a sidewalk that just got put in. And so
Really?
Yeah, there's the bottom picture, I just took
It's
this.
under construction right now.
Yeah.
Because I see people walking on that road all the time.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasoning, it was a use on that road. And, the additional width, we always like to push the sidewalk, as far away from the curb or from the traffic as we feasibly can. We have some structural issues in there where we have additional Duke power line mains in there, and the right-of-way width wouldn't let us get too wide. The opposite side of the road, you've got a low storm pond to deal with, so to get access for pedestrians and get them up off the roadway, this was the best way and the largest area we could achieve. So this week, if you drive that area, we're actually going to have a road closure in there because the crossing where you see Madison Avenue, where that road is actually going to cross is going to have a push-button solar pedestrian crossing, but we're also installing in the existing turn lane curb and gutter with a safe space kind of for the pedestrian as they're crossing that road. So you'll have curb and gutter ped islands on either side of the pedestrian crossing to get them across the street. And that work should weather permitting, should be done and the road back fully open by the end of Friday.
Looks good.
It does.
Right, number 12 is the Seth West Parrot Park Greenway. Again, that's connecting the park to the neighborhood. And I believe the city owns that area. This is 2 greenways. Again, connecting Karen Drive to Parrot Park Greenway, which is the one that's going north and south, and the segment that's going more west and east is connecting Karen Drive to the reserve at Glen Burnie Apartments. The recommendation on this one is to partner with the property owner to make this connection as this property is developed. And that's also something to take into consideration as we're looking at prioritizing projects. Number 14 is the New Bern High School Greenway Side Path. So the line on the left is recommended to be a greenway connecting the neighborhood to the school, and the break with the line on the right is a side path. And that just gets you access directly to the high school.
So the kids from Myrtle Grove, I assume that's a subdivision, they can't walk to school right now?
No.
Not legally.
Yeah. Not legally. Sure they do.
Number 15 is adding 2 greenway links, connecting the neighborhoods more directly to the Glen Burnie Park.
I have a question on this one. The red line on the top, when I went there was a mailbox where that started, which gave me the indication that that was a driveway, but that is not a driveway. That is the actual, because there's a nice green mowed area, but with the mailbox being right at the end, then I didn't dare to drive up it. But, so it's right off that, whatever road that is.
Atmore.
Okay, so it's right off Atmore, and we just go straight into it. Well, is that the one? No, that isn't the one. Yes.
So
Excuse me.
This basically gives you 2 ways in and out of Glen Burnie Park, right?
Yes.
Which you only have 1 way in and out now.
Plus the road,
Yep.
3 ways.
Actually, it was North First Avenue. Has anyone ever been to the end of North First? So
Yes.
North
I
First,
have.
there's a mailbox, there's a
Right.
green, and there's
Yeah.
a mailbox right there. So that is not a driveway though.
So that's public access?
I don't know, because the mailbox number on it does not go to any of the houses that you can see. So I'm like, why is there a mailbox there at the end of this green mowed area?
I don't know, but we can look into it.
And I didn't see that it was, it didn't say in the instructions that this was owned by anybody, so
When you say mailbox, do you mean outgoing or incoming?
out.
one of the storage facilities, storage boxes, right?
No.
Like a green box?
No, like if a personal mailbox with a number, like 1310.
That's an incoming mailbox, yeah, incoming mailbox.
Oh.
So the post office uses mailbox to store mail for their local delivery routes. It's not one of the
No.
post office boxes,
It's a
right?
personal, yes,
Okay.
it's someone's house.
And we can look into that to answer your question.
Yeah.
The lines are just concepts. By no means am I saying that that's how we're gonna access it. It's just a line on a map to get the idea. Obviously, once the committee prioritizes projects, then's when we start looking into the nitty-gritty of, is it feasible? How much is it gonna cost? What is the alignment?
Okay,
Right now, we're just saying, you know, if we had our priorities of wish list, what do we want first?
right.
And then the last one is the Racetrack Road sidewalk, which we just talked about. So you heard George's team state that they resurfaced the road and they now have a wider shoulder to allow for biking. The plan talks about adding a sidewalk, and so that's something that the committee needs to take into consideration, is the improvements that George made, given the environmental concerns, it's better than what we had. Does that now reduce the priority and strengthening for this particular project?
I hate to do this, but the one project by Kemper Field, which is gonna be basically a minor league
So
stadium
number
now.
2, because I looked at that earlier.
Is that gonna affect the traffic, hopefully the foot traffic that will be increased because of the new league plays there?
It might, but
What
like
is
I said, these are, I mean, you still can walk. Is it safer? Is it safe to walk on the road? Probably not, but you still have a connection. And so if we add the sidewalk shouldn't take away from the road unless the decision and through the design is that we're going to make it one-way roads, which I don't see that happening. All right, does anyone have any other questions on what each of the projects are?
I have one general overall question. You made, and this is my first meeting, so I'm out of context, but you made multiple references to recommendations. Who's generating those recommendations?
So we hired a consultant and to put together the New Bern Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan that was adopted by the Board of Aldermen in December of 2022.
Okay,
And so this committee was, as a result, was formed as a direct recommendation from the plan. So the goal of this committee is that have been appointed by the Board of Aldermen, is to review the plan and to advocate for it to be moved forward. So take these recommendations and figuring out what's the priority and how do we get things in place.
thank you.
So this is our 5th meeting, 6th meeting. We're still a very new committee.
Okay.
All right, so no more questions, now becomes the fun part. Everyone needs to get out their phones, which I know everybody has. Committee members, get out your phones. It's all secret squirrel. So what we're looking for, if you will take a picture of the QR code, there is the listing of all the projects that we just discussed are in this Google form.
So this is just for committee members?
Yeah, just for
right now?
committee members at the moment. And then we're gonna spend just a few minutes with you guys reviewing the priorities and just check the box for your top 3 projects. We were trying to be more anonymous with this.
Is there a reason?
Huh?
Is there a
Well,
reason?
we wanted, some people are very not shy in sharing their recommendations, and others are a little. Rob, Mr. Overman, did you teach Mr. Ginsburg something new?
Okay. Oh, okay.
While you're contemplating these priorities, I'd like to just show my public support for one of the gentlemen over there suggested that these decisions should be made on the basis of traffic rather than the tax base, let's put it that way. And there are ways of measuring that traffic easily. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir.
You have that information. I mean, that's a big one.
That's over. I'll step back.
You done?
I am.
Oh,
Is that okay? That's good?
yep, that's good.
We're gonna- Okay, did you take a picture? Okay, and when you take a picture, it should pop up that just click on the little thing, do the picture again, because I wouldn't know where it is. I can, if I watch you do it, I can show you where it might be.
Very
You
good.
can set up if you want over
Very
there.
good.
Now it should pop up.
No message received.
All right, you guys got it?
It does.
Oh, yeah, you got it. You're good. How about you? Did you figure out your
All right, I'm sorry, you have a different phone than me, so it works a little
You
differently.
got it figured out?
That's my first time.
Here, let me go a little closer for you.
saying that to you, I don't want to.
No, there are other ways of submitting these. There's other ways of submitting these things. I can get them to you offline.
Would it work if he doesn't have a Google account?
It should. Yeah. There you go.
Which one is she? She's.
Well, I'm just asking, I'm just asking because it's just knowing.
There you
All right, thank
go. There you go.
I didn't know
These,
that.
this, is this in a PDF form?
Hey, you learned something new. Who knew you would know?
Is it online?
QR codes.
It is. In fact,
Yeah, we're gonna click on it. We're waiting for everyone to kind of,
this is the,
This is also,
this, yes, this is our full
these the recommendations. Okay, that's
let
not.
me know when you're done. He said, I know it's done, and then we'll show them, show where we're at.
So this one is the green one sidewalk, so that's all we're talking about today.
For a month.
Get to neighborhood green.
Mr. Sadler, are you done? Mr. Sadler, are you done? All right.
Each meeting.
Okay. All right, so we asked everyone to give their top three, and it's
Consultant, are they still? Because this was hired for just this project. This is the plan.
all right, so,
I need a link to this.
out of the responses, that we've got a clear winner as the top one, which is the Oaks Road side path, followed by a tie for the second, which is Trent Boulevard sidewalk, the Trent Road side path, the Trent Road to Chestnut Avenue, and the Karen Drive to Patriot Park Greenway. So my recommendation would be, now that we spend time on those four projects. Let me write it down. So we've got 7, 9, 10, and 13. All right. Okay. So some things to consider, and and this is up to the committee's discussion, is now we need to start advocating for these four projects. Because now we need to pick 2 of the 4 to be in the top 3. So as a reminder, the 4 projects, we have the Trent Boulevard sidewalk and bike lane widening, the Trent Road side path, the connection between Trent Road and Chestnut Avenue, and number 13 is the Patriot Park Greenway, Karen Drive Reserve at Bern.
So 7, 8, 9, and 13, is that right?
7, 9, 10, and 13.
7, 9.
And you say 2, did you
You
say?
have to pick 2.
Yeah.
And so I would welcome discussions from the committee members of what kind of information would you like to discuss? Before the next meeting, we give them homework to go look at this. Did you, so Jesse suggested maybe your homework for between now and the next meeting is to go look at all 4. we can spend some time looking at what would make the project for you a higher priority. And we can send out notes too, so it's a reminder of what the 4 projects are. Would you guys like to focus on that for the next meeting then?
Yeah, if we have the time.
Okay. All right, so next meeting, we're gonna whittle down the 4 to 2. Sound like a good plan?
It was 7, 9, 13.
Yep.
7, 9,
Very
10.
useful, and I think we have, I had a hunch that the road was gonna be up there, no surprise, so.
Yep. What were you saying?
Oh, I wasn't, if you guys wanted to agree maybe that you leave the number 1 scoring one and focus on the other 3 to debate, because I'm not surprised at all that the road was,
Oh,
at all.
you know what, I did not vote for that only because I know
Really?
that the cost of that is going to be higher than doing many of the others, and so it's
Okay,
less
okay.
feasible.
All right, that's-
So I
that's
wasn't
a fair
gonna waste
point.
my money on something that couldn't be done,
Resourceful. Gotcha.
only because I brought that up on the very
You
first
have,
meeting.
yes.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
Okay, so what we'll do is, we'll have some homework for the committee members to focus on the 4 projects and to come back with maybe your top 2 and a why, so that you can then discuss them among yourselves, so we can whittle it down. All right.
And I will say, we brought up cost when you're looking at prioritization. Don't always look at cost as removing something from when they would put as a top priority, because in a lot of these cases, there's grant funding available for these. So I would think, you know, in my opinion, personally, I would like y'all to say exactly what you think would be the most beneficial, because that is going to probably benefit the most people. So,
Yep.
you know, I don't think I directly take cost into consideration up front, or we'll never get to the point of getting these things
Right.
done, even though they were the top priority.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sorry, man.
No, I was just gonna say, and to pile on what George is saying, because it's in the plan, and because the committee now says, hey, this is our priority, this is what we wanna go for, then that's justification to go to a grant, because it's in the plan, it's been approved, you know. So it puts us, if you score it higher than
Yeah, it's
you
very
would. And
useful
so-
when you report back on your reasons for your top 2, because that's what staff will end up using
Yeah.
when we advocate for money for these projects, so.
Yeah, well, there's other reasons why I didn't. One is I use Oak Road all the time, and yes, it's not the best, but I feel unsafe on a lot of other
Other roads
places
more.
than Oaks, yes.
Except for that one section.
Yeah.
That one section after sunset is scary to ride.
Well, I don't know exactly
Yeah.
which section it is, but there's a time when I just get
It's
on
that
the sidewalk.
turn you were talking about just
Mhm.
prior to the,
And I will say, if that section does get completed and we can get it to Martin Marietta Park, you will have either at least pedestrian way from Martin Marietta Park to Lawson Creek all the way through downtown by sidewalk. So when we don't look at current use right now, it's not there because we hadn't made the connection. I believe we'd have a large amount of traffic on it if you could walk literally from Lawson Creek through downtown and end up at Martin Marietta Park.
that would be awesome.
All right, so we will send out a reminder with homework ahead of our next meeting. So moving along, the next item that we wanted to talk about was getting some feedback on a marketing campaign, and Felicia's going to talk about that.
So we've talked about doing some type of campaign at the last couple meetings. So you can see here we have a couple of the months listed that have like something designated that goes towards bicycle and pedestrians. So we want to have something for each month that we can build out some type of social media calendar, marketing campaign that we can reuse over the years. So we're looking for specific things that you would like put out into the community that we can assign to a month. Like something can be geared towards drivers 1 month. So do you have any specific ideas that you would like to see?
Not right off the top of my head.
So like one thing that we were talking about would be maybe making drivers aware that like that cyclists have full use of the road lighting or the 4 feet that we talked about.
4 feet is
So-
huge. 'Cause, I mean, just in the last 2 days, I got dusted by cars within 12 inches of my
Yes.
shoulder.
So those are the kind of ideas from your perspective, what we could focus on developing that campaign. So you can think about it. These are just national things that we could build upon. But we thought it was important to actually seek feedback from the committee. So maybe like, when a cyclist, the rules of the road for a cyclist, that you have to have, the blinking light and, reflective clothing and, that kind of stuff. That maybe not everybody realizes that you need that. So, but just think about it. If you guys have any ideas, really would welcome your input. But we'll continue kind of coming up with some ideas to present back to the committee.
And this is something that we're constantly working on, so if you have an idea, like just shoot us an email, you don't have to wait till the next meeting.
So are you looking for every month? What do you
Yeah, we
want?
have something designated for each month that we
Yeah.
can put out.
Yeah, okay.
And so some of the ones that I had suggested to staff was sometime in the spring, you start advertising, hey, don't put your lawn clippings in the bike lanes, or in the fall, don't rake your leaves into the bike lanes. We're talking specifically Trent Boulevard at that point. But, some of the other places, I mean, there are many streets that are like that. And so those were the types of ideas that it's the same problem every year, and with the transient nature that we have in some of our neighborhoods, just reminding new residents, hey, here's some of the safety things that you need to take into account, that aren't necessarily national or state focused, but certainly something we can focus on here.
I checked your side view mirror before opening your door.
Right, downtown, those types of things.
In New York City, if a door is opened into the bicycle path and there's a collision, an incident of any sort, the driver is found instantly guilty.
Right.
Same in Virginia.
Mhm.
That's a fun fact to share with our social media followers, actually.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of education to head to get New Bern.
Did you know?
Yes.
A lot.
Use your right hand. People don't know what that's
So those are the types of things we're targeting.
Yeah, okay.
And so target it when, what months,
Right.
what areas, and then, we can work with staff and work with Colleen and work with Parks and Rec and try and, as part of this committee, develop an education plan. And so that's an effort that
This is great,
Yeah.
yeah. I wish I had lots of ideas right now, so.
Yeah.
But,
They'll come to you.
Well,
yeah,
didn't we used to have the police department that sponsor safety for kids or something?
Well, that's the next topic.
What a great
Great.
It's like you knew.
I think it's a very good idea to get kids kind of thinking about the fact that bikes have a right of way, but also there is a responsibility when you ride a bike.
you did this already today? Wow, that's great.
So for those of you who don't know, the city of New Bern applied for the NCDOT Bike Helmet Initiative, and the city was awarded 100 bike helmets. And so we have first planning committee today. And so, Mary, did you want to update the committee?
Yeah, so this morning we had our first committee meeting, and we're going to have, as you can see in the page 3, Friday, August 30th at 4 to 6. We are going to be at the J.T. Barber Elementary School and having this bike rodeo. And this is to give away the helmets and to teach safety awareness to the kids. Make sure they know how to ride the bike, the hand signals, how to ride on the road. Make sure their helmet is fitted properly and their bike fits them properly. They just get a lot of information, and we're hoping that the parents, we planned it so the parents could possibly be there. so that the parents could be educated as well, and they don't fight the kids when the kids said, Mom and Dad, you have to ride on the right side of the road. And the parents say, no, you have to ride on the left. So we want the parents to be just as educated as the children. So we also are looking for volunteers to help with this, because there's 6 stations. The police department is going to be volunteering at some of the stations, but we need more volunteers. Is Flights here?
No.
So what I'm gonna ask Flights if they will do one station, maybe the bicycle repair. It's not really a bicycle repair, but it's just to make sure you know how to put your seat up and down, how to inflate your tires, you know, basic stuff, so that before you go out on the road, your bike is as safe as it possibly can be. But if we're looking for other volunteers for this, so it's 4 to 6. Does everyone here have a way to contact Deanna?
Yes, I think I've emailed almost everybody, so.
Yeah, so if you'd like to volunteer, anybody in the, anybody in this city, volunteer for this, we'd love to have you.
Now, this information will be presented at all the elementary schools, right?
So we are doing this in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club at the J.T. Barber School specifically, because the grant requirement is that we seek low-income households. So while it's open to all of the city, we're targeting J.T. Barber residents,
Gotcha.
and recreation staff is helping us with that also. So we've got tentatively an idea of what we want to accomplish that day, but we just had our first planning session. We're going to meet again in 2 weeks to firm up some details, etc. But like Mary suggested or stated, you'll go around in a couple different stations and they'll learn about bike safety. We're hoping to get some donations where we can actually give away some bikes with the helmets. So if anyone has any connections, let me know. But the Boys and Girls Club said that they've got a really good support system in place that I think it's going to be great.
And you think that one school will support 100 kids?
Yes. And it's going to be all outside, so apparently they've done something not quite like this, but their events tend to be large draws. So
For volunteers, it's just that one day, or are there pre-meetings?
Well, we're doing if you would like to join the planning committee, but I think that we've got most of that there's 5 of us on the committee. But really what we're looking for is if your willingness to volunteer from, probably about 3 to 6, just to set up, etc. But we've got already between Recreation, Police, and the Boys and Girls Club, they've all volunteered staff already, so, which is great. We're gonna need lots of help if we're gonna have 100 kids show up.
Can I ask a question? Do you have different size helmets?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a variety of sizes, but mainly for kids.
Okay.
This all has the same information on it, they're just different samples for our posters.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay, so number 3 obviously stuck out.
Yeah. Well, then that goes to the next question that we wanted to ask is which of the posters would your preference? But it sounds like number 3, maybe? I don't know.
I think the date and time stand out the clearest on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right. Well, then we will roll up with number 3. And like I said, we just identified the date. So I would say asterisk, it's tentative. We still need to confirm with the school that we're available.
I gotta say, I love the bike with the logos in it though. On the right, remember you see that? Let's use that somehow on something else because that's cool.
Yeah, keep those all for some other thing, or each year when we do this.
Yep.
Yeah, the goal and hope is that this is just the start of a new tradition of doing the bike rodeo. So we'll see how it goes, and we're optimistic.
Do I remember the police that ride bikes in New Bern? Are they going to be on their bikes for this?
Yep. Yeah, there are 6 officers that are trained with the credentials, and we're just seeing if they're all available to participate.
So the glory of all of this is when we hit these kids with this now, in 20 years, when they're on the roads of New Bern, it's gonna be a totally different city. Because we're gonna have bikers who know the laws, and they're going to be drivers at the same time that are going to look at the bike in a different way. Because right now, the drivers don't appreciate us as bikers, but they're both going to be the same person. So it's going to change. So it might not change tomorrow, but in the future, it would make a really big difference as this goes along year after year.
And just as a recommendation to Bill's point, in addition to the school and the Boys and Girls Club, I'd recommend advertisement through the Greater Duffield Residents Council. Trying to get to the adults, you know how flyers go when they know the kids' backpack, they don't necessarily. Thank you. Oh.
Yeah. So is there any chance that if you get bikes, you could make them available for children who don't have bicycles, just to train on? And then at the end of the day, maybe you had to, however.
Yes, that's exactly what we were thinking of. So one of the ideas is rather than, because we're going to be targeting them as they're after school. So they're still in school, but they haven't yet got home yet, so that they might not have their bikes. And so the Boys and Girls Club is going to reach out to some of their partners to see if we could get a bike or a few. And then as they complete the obstacle course, they get a passport of a ticket saying, and then that gives them the eligibility to be as the raffle for the potential winner.
You know, it's unfortunate, but a lot of those kids who don't get the supervision from their parents don't know how to ride a bicycle.
Yes. Any other thoughts on the bike rodeo?
Just for public affairs, do you have, I assume you have a close connection with the radio stations?
No. I don't, maybe Colleen does. Unless, if you're
Well,
willing
I'm
to
in
go
a
on.
couple of other organizations that seem to have some connection with radio stations that deal specifically in New Bern. I could ask about that.
Sure.
You can?
Sure.
And Channel 12.
Yeah.
So again, tentative asterisk, this is the date. We're just making sure that the school is, will allow us to stay after, which we're not anticipating any issues, but we just need to confirm. And of course, we would like to see all of our members there, so we'll continue sharing information as it gets a little bit closer. And then just as a reminder, our next meeting is July 1st.
I'm gonna be on vacation and I really don't want to miss any of these. Is there any way we can change it?
You need to talk to your committee members.
July 1st is a crazy week. A lot of people.
Is it?
So
it's
can we
July
change
4th.
the July 1st meeting, people, to, I will be back, where are we? I think I'll be back the second, but, let's see.
We can move it to the 8th.
I'll definitely be back the 8th. Are we okay with that? Are you okay on the 8th?
I personally feel like once you select a given time for meetings, you should stick with it.
Okay.
No, that's my opinion.
That's fine. That's fine. There's no judgment.
I can go either way.
I can move.
Okay. I make a motion to change it to the 8th.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of moving the next meeting from July 1st to July 8th, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries to move it to July 8th.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other business before the committee?
When does some of us start rotating off the committee?
I
I'm
think,
not leaving.
No.
No,
It's just one day.
I'm gonna say there's one that's coming up.
You're right, there,
Um,
because we staggered the appointments.
yeah,
Okay.
I just looked at it.
Due to personal reasons and my wife's health, I no longer want to be on the committee. After the next rotation, I believe mine is up in July.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, one of yours, and you are the one that's up there, okay,
I will make it July meeting if I need to, that's not a problem.
okay. Yeah, I know we were, had recently advertised on Facebook that they were seeking applications, so if any of you who have been attending are interested, who live in the city limits, you go on, and I can send out another email, but you go to the clerk's, the website, and you can download the form, fill it out, and submit it to her.
And Ben usually is still on file, so.
Okay.
Does it have, like, I didn't know about a rotation, does it have all the information?
Yes, I think that the term is listed,
Okay.
but if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call.
And once the meeting is officially adjourned, I have one or two questions and comments I'd like to make, because the comment period started very early,
Yes.
but now a lot of material's been covered. So when you're done, let me know, so I can ask a question or two.
Well, it's up to the committee if you like it to be in the minutes, or,
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
all right, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. My background is from one of the largest shared-use bicycle networks in America, which was started out as City Bike, the City Bike in New York City. So here's a town of 11 million people that actually converted their whole city to a bike-friendly town. Quite amazing, actually. So my question to you is, have you had any contact? I know we have a shared-use facility here in town. Are they present in this meeting, the shared-use people that have put their bikes here? There's, you know the company I'm talking about?
There's a business, yeah.
It's a business,
That's a
right?
business, yeah.
So, are they contributing to these?
Who is?
Big-
Yeah, he's talking about.
Cycle share. Cycle share.
And they-
And have you had any contact with some of the larger shared bike organizations in the country? There are many cities in the countries that are doing these sorts of things, and they put the bikes in, like you're talking about this children's program, the children can get access to unlimited numbers of bikes if you had a big shared use system here.
I don't think we have the business case.
That was,
honestly.
yeah, I was gonna say, that wasn't the focus of the committee.
Yes.
Because we don't have the infrastructure to support something like that. But the bike share, obviously, he's doing pretty well. Of course, he's the only guy in town too, but that more is for tourists and marina folks.
Is he doing all right? I don't know that.
Yeah, I have heard he's doing okay.
Oh, good. Okay,
He's
that's
certainly
helpful.
not complained to me. He originally put in an application to be on this board. Of
Mhm.
course, there were probably, I want to say there were about 15 applications for the 5
Oh, good.
positions, so it was very well advertised. Represented. And he lives in Trent Woods,
Mhm.
which, is not prohibitive, but you don't have to be a city resident to be on this board.
Okay.
But it is City of New Bern focused, is that?
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah, it's an advisory committee to the Board of Aldermen for the City of New Bern.
Okay.
But yeah, so I guess, other than him, and the Cycle Share company, we have not been in contact with any of those. To Mr. Gleisberg's point, we don't really have the infrastructure to
Do you mean
support that
infrastructure,
yet.
meaning in terms of the
I'm
roadways, the
talking about
pathways?
The pathways.
The pathways, and that's not available yet.
Right.
Right, I
Right,
got you.
which was the whole point of this committee.
Yes. It's sort of a chicken or egg question, though.
Right.
Which drives the infrastructure?
Well, the money drives the infrastructure.
Well, one of the things that we've always run across is, you take a large city like Raleigh, and the board sits down and say, oh yeah, we'll put $2 million toward that project. The city of New Bern's not gonna do that,
Right.
because they don't have that resource. And so every time I look at some of these projects, that's one of the things you always got to keep in the back of your mind, is the funding. And there again, sometimes you can get 20/80 funding, but a lot of times it's dollar for dollar, things like that.
Yeah, but the whole initiative of standing up this committee was to make it a priority for the City of New Bern.
Right.
To actually have like I mentioned before, to actually have a plan, to actually have a committee to hold both the Board of Aldermen and the staff accountable to the
To a
plan.
plan.
And then also help us to figure out funding streams and funding sources in order to put the infrastructure in. So that's to Ms. Treble's point, we're still coming up on 1 year with this committee, and so we're still relatively nascent. As you see tonight, we're still prioritizing some of the things in here so that we can get to that point.
I think where I'm going on this is on the funding side of things.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, like you said earlier in the meeting, don't let the money get in the way of the plan.
Right.
Sometimes the money, companies like City Bike and these bike sharing outfits will come in and they will do the funding in order to put their bikes in the town.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the money will come first.
Sure.
And their expertise now, it's now a good over a decade old, on how to design these things. This committee would benefit from having their work contribute to it. So I'm reaching out to them there's no downside to it, I think.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
All right, any other business?
I just have one more question. Who's the lady who had the shirt? Is she still here? Can you stand up again, please? Would you mind at some point taking a picture of the front and the back of your shirt?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, maybe sharing your email so I could, or?
Do you want, we can take a picture of it and I can email it. Okay?
I can take a picture for you.
Go ahead.
Yep, all right, let's adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate
We're
it.
modeling it. We will adjourn.
Thank you very much.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.